Can we just really quickly, I just want to get your opinion on something very serious to me. I have a Christmas tree up here in my living room right now, and it is November 11th. And I just want to get your guys' honest opinion on this. Scott, what do you think? Is this inappropriately early for a Christmas tree?
I'm conflicted, man. I don't know. I'm ready for Christmas time, right? But it feels like it's just it's premature, a little bit premature. I'm all for like the scented candles and all that kind of stuff, but the Christmas tree just yet?
Okay.
I wait until December 1st.
I know
personally.
I know the society's rules. Like usually,
I'm gonna go ahead and. Oops.
Oh, we got a big delay.
Finish your statement, and then I'm gonna interject.
Okay, I was just saying, I know that society's rules say that you really shouldn't put your Christmas tree up past or before Thanksgiving. Hear me out, though. I'm coming back to the States like early December, and so I only get to enjoy this cozy apartment during November. And so I've got to get a little bit of Christmas juice out of it, and so that's why I put up the Christmas tree early. It's artificially early. It's an artificial tree, and it's up artificially early. But that's my defense. Mike, what do you want to say?
I'm going to go ahead and fully disagree with Scott. I think the second Halloween's over, you start thinking about Christmas. You have to milk the run up to Christmas. It's the best time of year. Milk that as long as you can. Forget about Thanksgiving. Who wants to be grateful for what they have? What's next? What's the new present I'm going to get? And you want to be in that mindset as soon as possible, because the day after Christmas, it's depression. You have January, February, worthless months. So you got to milk that.
That's
that
the most
offensive
and offensive mindset I've ever heard.
Everyone's thinking it. I just am brave enough to say it.
I am offended. Classic. Mike, but thank you for having my back against Scott. He's tried to pick on me, and so thank you, Alfieri's.
Did they even let you cut real trees down in Germany?
No, this is a fake tree. To do anything in Germany, you need to have a license, and you need to take a 3-year course on how to do anything. Seriously, we're going to talk about dogs later. You need a license to get a dog, and don't get me started. I did want to say Christmas did come early, though. Christmas did come early for the Detroit Lions.
Oh, yeah.
Just diving right on into NFL football, guys. Lions-Texans this weekend. This was absolutely incredible comeback by the Detroit Lions. We've been talking about this team on this show for a few weeks now and just kind of how resilient they are and the mentality that this team has. They were down 23-7 at halftime, ended up coming back, winning a last-second field goal, 26-23. And Jared Goff, or Jared Goof, Scott, as you love to call him, he was really Jared Goof this week. 5 interceptions. Despite all of that, the Lions were still able to come back and win. What are your thoughts on this one, dude?
Well, first off, it's the artist formerly known as Jared Goof. That's how I look at it here. I mean, he was somewhat Jared Goof in the first half. 8 for 20 with 128 yards, 1 touchdown, and 5 interceptions. Wait, no, was that the whole night? That was on the whole night. Dude, that stat line blows my mind.
Entire night. That was the entire night. Yeah. Like, check this out here. We've got a meme. We've got a meme here. Pulling up a meme. And there it is. That is the entire night. Both quarterbacks did not play particularly well. I mean, that's like a generous way of saying it. They both played horribly.
Yeah.
But these stats are just insane. Goff, 39 QBR. But what do you make of the fact that they were still able to win against not even like a scrub team? The Texans are probably going to be a playoff team. CJ Stroud is a legit quarterback, and they're still able to come back and win. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, the caveat there is the Texans have had a little bit of a slide over the past 4 or 5 games. CJ has been in a slight slump, but overall, you could see the drive and fight within the Texans yesterday with DeMeco Ryans on the sideline. I mean, obviously he's got them churning and ready to go and fight, but they came up against the juggernaut of the Lions here. And I think this is really just a testament to what Dan Campbell has instilled in his team and the culture that he's built there. And I hate using the word culture, but this is one of the most astounding and impressive things I've ever seen happen to an organization that was literally at the bottom of the barrel. I said it the other day. They were at the bottom of the barrel with the Browns, and we were oozing out of that bottom of the barrel. And to see them at the height of the NFL right now, it's all a testament to what Dan Campbell has seemingly instilled in the team, and the people that he's drafted have the same exact mindset. So we always bring up like Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sewell, Jared Goff, even, he was discarded and tossed to the curb by the Rams. He's found a home here in Detroit. And I mean, just the grit and determination that you could see in that team. They never really felt like they were out, even though they were down, nearly 20 points, I think it was at one point. There's something under the surface here with the Lions that's different, vastly different than any other team I see in the NFL right now.
Yeah. And honestly, check this out. Like it's actually historical what they did. Like the Lions are the first team since 1970 to throw 5 picks, trail by 15 plus points, and still come back to win the game. I will say these type of stats that are like so hyper specific with multiple stats, like this is the first team to do X, Y, Z, and W, in 30 years. It's a little bit annoying because they always find something, but it is still very impressive. But just what you said, this team, and we were talking about it, I think in the last episode, just the kind of chip on the shoulder mentality, the guys like Amon-Ra St. Brown, who has a huge chip on his shoulder, the guys like Goff, and then Dan Campbell, he is the epitome of just blue collar working hard. And I love what Dan Campbell said after the game too, like in the press conference, because of course the reporters were pressing him about Jared Goff's performance. And he was kind of nonchalant about the 5 picks. He's like, no, I mean, I'm not even going to say anything to him. Many of those were not even ill-advised throws. A couple of those interceptions were tips kind of out of his control. And it's not like he was making horrible decisions all night. It was just an off night for him.
Yeah.
And that's what's so impressive to me is the ability to still pull out a win when things are not going well, when it's not your day, and still being able to win. And that's the thing that I really take away from this from the Lions.
Yeah. And then you add on top of it, like, look, obviously Dan Campbell is the face of this. You can feel his energy anytime he steps up to the podium. Like you get this dude, like he's raw, he's real.
Yeah.
He doesn't give you coach speak. He's just, everything is from the heart, and it's emotional, but it's also like motivationally emotional. So you can have the rah-rah guy, the rah-rah coach, the rah-rah player in the locker room, but everybody kind of like, after a while that shine kind of wears off. But it's true, it's real. This guy absolutely means it, and it doesn't come across as fake. And that also trickles down to his entire coaching staff, right? So obviously Dan was a tight end in the league for a number of years and had a pretty solid career. I think it was like 7 or 8 years coming out of Texas A&M from college. So this guy is like born in the darkness of grit, but he also has dudes like Ben Johnson, obviously as offensive coordinator, but mainly like Mark Brunell as the quarterback's coach, an absolute dog of a lefty quarterback coming out of the 90s and early 2000s. Then you also have, looking at Antoine Randall L, which we've talked about because IU is all of a sudden surging again. And like the fact that he's there in the wide receivers room teaching Amon-Ra how to go about becoming a professional and taking his skills to a new height is incredible. And then you look on the defensive side, you got someone at the helm of Aaron Glenn as the D coordinator. Like the fact that he surrounded this entire staff with guys very similar to him, cut from a certain cloth, right? Aaron Glenn, I believe, was also an A&M graduate. So like he's surrounding himself with dudes, absolute dudes. And it's just bleeding out onto the field. And like, if you get coaches that understand what players are going through and how they can go ahead and improve on the field and mentally, physically, and do all those things, it only comes out on the field. And we're seeing this in real time. It's incredibly impressive to see what the Lions are doing.
Yeah, dude, I can't remember the exact number, but I think from Hard Knocks, was it not last year, maybe 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Talking about the coaching staff of the Detroit Lions. And I think we'll have to check on this. I think that they said 9 of the coaches on the Detroit Lions staff played in the NFL. And between them, they have a combined 90 years of NFL experience. So that is something that resonates with the players. That's what you're just saying. Like Campbell's authentic as hell, and all these other guys that actually played and actually went through camps. And you're talking about some of these guys, like even in Hard Knocks, Antoine Randall will talk about, this is my 20th straight training camp that I've been through, either as a player or as a coach. So right. I think we're just seeing that from the top down, that authenticity and that realness come through with the Detroit Lions, because you don't come out of a game like that and be able to come back and win a game like that with just like solid, talented football players. That is a culture statement right there.
Exactly.
And I think, a comeback like that is, it's incredibly rare. And that's a special thing that we're getting able to see here. On the Texans side,
it's like that exact opposite. He's like the exact opposite of Mike McDaniel. Mike McDaniel, like, he didn't play, he didn't do it. Mike McDaniel is just like a guy who played like a lot of Madden. He just really stayed up late playing Madden.
He was the one that
schemes. He can't motivate. Like, he's not pulling guys to, down by 20 at halftime to like summon them.
He's not going to get anybody on the Raiders to dig deep there. And he was also one of those guys, you were talking about Madden. He was the guy that played the Madden head coach game that they came out with in the early 2000s.
He was on live with the headset.
Yeah, see. Yep, he is. He's the inverse of Dan Campbell. There you go, Mike. Nice. I was going to say on the Texans side. There you go, Mike. Good contribution. The Texans side, we've been up and positive on the Texans and on CJ Stroud. As good as this was for the Lions, I think that this was kind of equally incriminating for the Texans to not be able to capitalize on this, to blow a lead like that. We were up 23-7 at halftime. The opposing quarterback throws 5 interceptions, having one of his worst days of all time. Like, Jared Goff had 4 picks the entire season up until this game, and then 5 picks in this game. He over doubled his season total. And so the Texans not being able to capitalize on this. And here we see what is one of the weirder plays that I've ever seen, as CJ Stroud is getting sacked. One of his offensive linemen coming in there. He's trying to help, but he's like grabbing the ball out of his quarterback's hand. You think you're going to take the ball and go run it? Like, what is he doing here? What are your thoughts on this, Scott, on what this kind of represents on the Texans side?
You know what? I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt here. There was a situation where CJ was trying to hold him up first and foremost. That's like what he was trying to do, so that CJ could either avoid injury by going to the ground and getting just trampled on or whatever, or just giving CJ an opportunity to break that tackle and keep going. And then in the moment, it just so happened the ball was right there, and heightened energy. You get an offensive lineman. Look, my dad's talked about it too. If you get a chance to pick the ball up, you take it. You take it as a big boy. Like, that's what you do. So, like, there's an element of me that just doesn't want to blame him here, because he was just peak energy and he was just like, this is my time.
Yeah. I know it. Yeah, I'm with you there. If you get a chance as an O lineman to touch the football, I am all for it. I am pro O lineman getting touches. This was not like a chance for him to get he ripped it out of CJ Stroud's hands. I know the intention was good intentions. Stupid play. Yeah. He caused a fumble. He gets a forced fumble.
What is he?
This just shows how deprived offensive linemen are of attention. That doesn't matter the situation of the game or what's on the line. It's, I can carry the ball. Someone's going to look at me. That's the whole thing.
In his mind, he was looking at this, and it was his opportunity. Everybody else in the stadium was like, Scott, what are you doing, dude?
Hey, Scott, we're going to need to get your dad on the show to weigh in on stuff like this. So hopefully he sees this segment. He can let us know from the mind of an offensive lineman. Just kind of translate this for us non-lineman people here. So that was interesting. Not great for the Texans.
Yeah, I have to give a little bit more information on there. So, like, this is him telling me this after he experienced the fumble back Cleveland and the Denver Broncos versus John Elway back in I believe it was the late 80s. And he was just inches away from the Ernest Biner fumble on the goal line to go ahead and take the Browns to the Super Bowl. This was like the game clinching touchdown. Ultimately, the Broncos recovered that fumble. My dad was like a yard and a half away, reaching out his hand. So that's why he always says, hey, if you have an opportunity, you pick the ball up for the big boys. Like, you just got to take it.
You know what? Okay. You know what? I remember you telling me that in high school and telling me that, like, sometimes your dad still has like nightmares about that moment because it's just inches away. You know what? I'm all right. I mean, I take a softer stance. I'm still, I'll put my stance officially as neutral / confused, but I have no animosity towards the offensive linemen. They're trying their best. They're doing the best they can. So the rest of this game, yeah, this is sweet. I'm a nice guy, Scott. Okay, I'm not. You know, I'm not gonna.
I'm holding my stance. Full animosity.
Can't wait till Mr. Williams gets on the show. But also a really cool part of this game is Jake Bates, the Lions kicker, came in and kicked the game-winning field goal to end them out at 26-23. This dude was a brick salesman in Houston, nonetheless, 18 months ago. This dude was a brick salesman. He thought he was done playing football. He played at like Texas State, and then he transferred to Arkansas. He got a little bit of NFL attention. He ended up going to the UFL, and he was kicking bombs in the UFL. Things fell through. He thought football was done. He got a job as a brick salesman, and now 18 months later, here he is as probably one of the more prominent kickers in the NFL. He's perfect on field goals this year. And so I just thought that was an incredible story of just, hey, never give up and know, your time still might be coming.
Yeah.
Brick salesman? Who are you convincing to buy a brick that doesn't need a brick? If you need a brick, you're going to go out and seek out a brick.
That's the guy you call if you need a brick.
There's not
selling.
Really
someone walking down the street.
Door-to-door brick sales. There's not that many impromptu brick purchases. I mean, you're right, Mike. That's a good point. If you're
good, an impulse purchase.
Oh, you know what? I'm just gonna go get some coffee and maybe a few bricks.
No, this is an incredible story by the guy. I mean, Jake Bates coming literally from the pits and having. I mean, talk about a game of inches, dude. On both of those field goals that he made in the fourth quarter, like. One, he wanted to tickle the right side of the field goal posts, and then the next one for the game winner, he wanted to tickle the left. He's just like absolute ice in his veins. This guy just came through in the clutch, and like I know that like kickers get a really bad rap, and we can all speak to this. Like it all depends on the guy who you have as a kicker, right? If they're kind of a square, like they're gonna be ostracized because they're the kicker. They're the ones that are eating pizza off on the sideline while you're going through inside drill and just smacking each other in the head left and right. So like there's a decrease in like the connectivity, right? But when a guy comes through like this and he's a solid guy based off of especially his post game interview, like he just becomes part of the team, and you realize how important they are to your organization and to your team, especially in these clutch times.
Yeah, that's a great point, dude. Because we do. You kind of the kicker is sometimes forgotten until we need him and until they come through for us, like for the team, and then the team embraces them with open arms. That's such a tough position to play. I would imagine, like waiting all the time for your very few opportunities, and if people can just so easily put the blame on you, which we're actually, on this next game, actually the 49ers and the Buccaneers, speaking of kicking, their kicker missed 3 field goals throughout the game.
Eesh.
And this led to a pretty interesting altercation on the sideline. So Deebo Samuel, pull this up here. Deebo Samuel grabbed the neck of the long snapper, Pepper, and swiped at the kicker, Jake Moody, after Moody missed a 3rd field goal. So this is, speaking to your point there, Scott, it's like we love our kickers when they come through for us, but when they're missing field goals, they are just such the target for criticism right here. And this Deebo Samuel situation, Mikey, I know you wanted to talk a little bit about this one, didn't you? I think you prepared a drawing.
I did want to talk.
Drum roll, baby.
Yeah. Beautiful setup, if I do say so myself.
It's called an alley-oop.
Okay. Yep. I just gotta make the layup.
Okay, here we go. Finish strong.
Let me set the stage. Okay, 49ers, Buccaneers. Close game, back and forth. Neck and neck, as they say. We have Jake Moody, the kicker. He's coming off, he was injured. He sprained his ankle or something. Now he's back, first game back. Pitiful performance. Jake Moody, they call him Moody for a reason. Moody performance, 3 for 6 on the day. Leading up to the fourth quarter, he had missed 3 field goals, okay? On the other side, we have Deebo Samuel. Let's backtrack to pregame, okay? Deebo has come to be known. Deebo, dressed for the job you want, Samuels. He came in with quite an outfit pregame. This is his outfit. There's a lot of zippers, as you can see. And apparently today he wanted to be both a receiver and a motivational speaker. So that's why they pay him $24 million a year. He's got 2 jobs. So you can see he's dressed for the job he wants. 10x your life he's saying. He's a motivational speaker, date with destiny, a little Tony Robbins situation there. And here's Moody, missing a third field goal. Okay? Jake Moody. This all leads to the fourth quarter debacle in which Deebo comes up to Moody and the long snapper, shoves the long snapper, exchanges some words, motivates them, okay, as he was dressed to do. And the problem with dressing that way is that you lose a lot of respect. So much respect that a long snapper by the name of Tabor, okay, Tabor Pepper, not Taylor, his name is Tabor, thought he could take you in a fight because of the outfit you were wearing earlier. No respect. Nonetheless, Deebo did his job, his second job he's being paid for, motivational speaker, got in their heads, motivated them. Specialists come back for the final field goal, hits it, walk off, win the game. But, moral of the story, dress for the job you want. Deebo, great job motivating your players, your teammates, to perform when it really matters.
You did it.
Nice.
That was a hard one today.
Wow, look at you. Dress for the job you want, not the job you have.
Yeah,
You got that.
I got a
you
lot
got
of
that
things to say about
PTZ
this.
camera going crazy on you right now.
I know. I usually doesn't follow me around. I don't know what I did. It's this new environment.
By the way, that environment is
Too much on the walls.
my childhood bedroom, which we're going to talk about off camera, Mikey, because you're not allowed in my room. You know that. I don't like when people go in my room. And those are all my things back on the wall. All my
Yeah,
George
the funny
Floyd
smell
stuff.
in here.
Well, it's my deodorant. So, Scott, what are your thoughts on this Deebo Samuel situation, including the outfit?
Well, outfit, man, this is getting out of hand, I think, with all the dudes walking in looking like Cam Newton these days. I mean, we got to step back on these outfits. But in terms of the action on the field, like, I get it, dude. If your kicker's missing field goals, like, it's infuriating as a player, especially when you're in a neck and neck game against a formidable opponent like the Bucs. Like, this is not like, this is their profession, right? So you should expect them to perform at the highest level because they are at the highest level and starting. And so there's a frustration element here, but I also find it like very much beneath a star level athlete like Deebo to go at a player like that on the sidelines. That's such a bad look. That makes, one, it's in prime time. Two, it's just, you handle that stuff in the locker room if you got a problem, right? Like if it's at halftime or post game, you can get in their face and have that hash out moment, but like not on the sideline, dude. Like especially to your teammate. That's just like, that's so inappropriate. And I think I used this word the other day, but it's like sophomoric. You kind of look like you're still in like high school or Pee-wee, and it doesn't look like your team is as cohesive as we all want to believe it is. So I don't know. It's airing dirty laundry out there, and it's a lapse of leadership in Deebo for sure.
Dude, we had here in Germany in one of my seasons, we were in the semifinal game here in the German Football League playoffs, and our quarterback and wide receiver, they got into a little scuffle like this. They had kind of miscommunication on a route. They had a little bit of tension there, and it was on national TV here in Germany, and our quarterback shoved our wide receiver on national TV. It went kind of viral in the German football world. And that just echoed throughout our team for the remainder of that game and then into the championship game, which we lost because our team chemistry and cohesiveness just kind of crumbled from there. Our quarterback was, one of our leaders. Deebo on this team is one of their leaders. Yeah. And so kind of an action like this that is handled out in the open for everyone to see. Like you said, this is kind of a locker room thing, or if you're gonna get in his face on the sideline, maybe don't shove him, man. Just motivate him. You can say some harsh words, but I think that the thing was like the physical action that is so palpable and so many people can see and just looks so negative.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what's bothers me about it.
It's so disrespectful, like the way he did it too, the walk-off smack to the throat sort of thing. It's just like, man, that's such a bad look. And look, there's a difference between that experience that you're talking about in the German Bowl and everything going on at your team. I think a quarterback and a receiver going at it a little bit, similar to how Peyton Manning would go at Jeff Saturday, that infamous video that's happening. Like there's a difference between that because you're working together or trying to work together on the same side of the ball with the same 11 guys on that side of the ball. And like heated moments happen and you can get through that and have that happen. But when it turns physical as opposed to just verbal, that's when it takes it to a new level. And then also with this situation, vastly different when you got again, a star of the team, a leader of the team, going at what is like, again, going back to my point earlier, the ostracized group and essentially belittling them when they know they're messing up. It's like, dude, you're not helping the situation. Like, they know they're screwing up. They know what this means to the team. So I don't know. I find this to be, again, really sophomoric of Deebo and unbecoming of a leader of a team.
Dude, I love that word sophomoric. I've been using that since you started dropping that on the pod the last couple of weeks. It sounds so smart. It's got such a specific, distinct word of kind of like a person. I mean, is this right? Is this what it means? Give me your Yale education. It's kind of like a person who thinks they understand something, but they don't understand it all the way. They're acting like a sophomore in high school. They've got a little bit of experience. They're still being immature. Is this correct?
Yeah, you threw in a couple synonyms there. So childish, not understanding of the full scope of the situation, and yes, immature is definitely a good close synonym. So I should probably just use that.
Nice, Mikey. We have
our synonym, of course, is
synonym.
It means
synonym.
Explain synonym to me as if I was
word
five.
That sounds the same. Or is
we are so lucky to have our walking Yale-educated thesaurus, Scott. One of my favorite parts about this podcast is learning new words each week. So there's not all bad news with the 49ers, though. They did come back. They did win the game. It's kind of a huge road win. It was Christian's first game back. He produced over 100 yards of total offense. They used him a little bit sparingly, which I liked. I think it was a smart way to kind of reintroduce him back. But then when you hear some of the players talk in post game, listen to George Kittle or Brock talk about kind of the aura that Christian has coming back on the field and that leadership and expertise of the team, feeling that, because dude, the Bucs are no joke. The Bucs are not just a rollover and die type team. And Baker Mayfield played his ass off. I was actually so impressed with him, dude. Did you see the clip of him rolling out and Bosa trying to get him, trying to wrap him up? Baker stiff arming him and still throwing a dime out on the rollout. Did you see that?
Yeah, man. He's playing at a different level. Obviously, this is painful to say, as I've mentioned a couple times, like for a Browns fan to say or to see Baker performing at this level. It's just absolutely painful, but also really cool to see, because Baker had a couple plays like this where he was dodging dudes in the backfield left and right and finding ways to keep the play alive while also not turning the ball over, right? So like younger quarterbacks, he did this early on in his career with the Browns. Like he would keep plays alive, but then the decisions he would make after he did that were the ones that were essentially a career killer, or what was assumed to be a career killer, at least for in the Browns organization. But it's obvious here that he has matured to a point in which he knows when to let the ball go, where to put the ball in these situations nowadays. And this is just so impressive that he did it against Bosa too, who's just like, he might as well be a lion on the field, the way he's just like so powerful and can get off the ball. Like this is pretty impressive from a 6'1" quarterback to be able to make this thing happen. And you're right, the Bucs are no joke, man. I think the majority of their losses have happened in game-winning drives by other teams or within a single score point differential. So, I mean, they're always in the game. They're so dangerous to go up against. And the fact that they did it against such a formidable team like the Niners is only makes it that much more apparent.
Yeah, dude. And we cannot forget also that Baker's playing without like two of his top weapons. Mike Evans is still out. So he's playing with kind of some no-name receivers. Like, and we've seen some of the elite quarterbacks in the NFL struggle abysmally when they have to play without their top receivers. We said it the other week, the start of the season with the Rams when Cooper Kupp was out, Matthew Stafford really, really struggling. So the fact that Baker's doing this down. Yeah, Puka was out too. Yeah, that's true. So that just makes it all the more impressive. Dude, but I'm with you on this. Tom Brady did say after the game, and I don't know if this what kind of the context of this quote was, but he said Baker Mayfield does have the tools to become one of the greats of all time. How do you feel about that?
Well, I think that may be a little bit of hyperbole coming from Brady, but I also think it's like him mending what was somewhat of a torn relationship based off of what happened a few weeks ago. Remember when Baker came out and said like, oh, I came in and infused like fun and joy back into, not to use any any Harris campaign language, but he essentially said something
on
along
joy.
He essentially used some language like that with the locker room and bringing like, oh, this is a fun sort of environment, and that's what I brought back to the league. And then Tom kind of took it as a slight on primetime television, saying like, oh, like my goal wasn't fun, it was to win Super Bowls, and if people didn't want to do that, then they had no business being in the locker room, sort of thing. So like I think there's just a bit of like mending that sort of rift. And like there's some credence to it. Like Baker is playing lights out this year, so who knows what his potential is and where his ceiling is. Because if he continues on this trajectory, Tom may be right, and I'm going to take Tom at his word because he's been there and he did it himself. So it's like, hey, who am I? Who am I to say?
Who are you to say, Scott? Who are you? Yeah, here we have it. Baker Mayfield has the potential to be one of the greatest of all time. He has a unique combination of talent, work ethic, and leadership that you don't see very often. If he continues to grow and push himself, there's no limit to what he can do. That's all true. Those characteristics. I think that work ethic and leadership and kind of tenacity. He's talented enough. Like I don't think we'd put him in the category of like a Mahomes or a Josh Allen when it comes to talent, but in the category of leadership, tenacity, and work ethic, I mean, he's top tier for sure. So there is a little bit of legitimacy to that. And if it's coming from Tom Brady, we have to at least listen to it again. Dude, and on the other side, I gave you a little bit of pushback a few weeks ago on Brock. Remember a few episodes ago when we were talking about some of our favorite quarterbacks, you had Brock up there. I pushed back saying, oh, no, maybe, he's maybe a system quarterback. He's benefiting from Shanahan. But we saw, dude, this year, him having to play weapons down. And check this out here. Brock Purdy, he was the last in the draft. This is comparing him to the previous number one pick quarterback. Stafford, Mayfield, Burrow, Goff, Lawrence, Kyler Murray. All these guys who are big paid. These are guys that are some of the highest paid players in the NFL, rightfully so. And look at this. Brock Purdy blows them all out of the water in the first 29 games in terms of win, in terms of touchdown interception ratio, and in terms of quarterback rating. I mean, we're talking even, Burrow, Matthew Stafford, some of the most talented guys. Does this surprise you?
Look, this doesn't surprise me because I love Brock and I think he's doing an incredible job with all the tools in the situation that he's been placed in. I think you're going to get a lot of people will look at this, especially the haters that aren't big fans of Brock, and they're going to say like, well, obviously he came into a system with a offensive-minded coach that's far better than any of those other guys started off with, and then secondarily he had some weapons that came along with it. But that doesn't matter in my mind. It's all about what you end up producing and the wins and the losses. And like, obviously the numbers of the touchdown to interception ratio is incredible. The QBR is incredible. The rating, dude, he's just produced. And like at a certain point, the oh man, he has weapons sort of argumentation just kind of falls apart, because like if he's doing it over and over and over again, at a certain point you cannot deny facts when they stare you in the face. And I know we're in a world where a lot of that is happening, but like this is too clear to go against.
Yeah. I mean, I agree, man. I mean, it's the numbers don't lie. And even I won't say I was a Brock Purdy hater. I was like, the jury's kind of still out. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because he looks so young or something. I don't know what is holding me back. He looks like a little kid. I don't know, but I'm getting convinced. He's convincing me.
Yeah.
Mike, what do you think about Brock Purdy, Mike? As a guy sort of in that age range.
Brock Purdy. I called him from the get-go, okay? Mr. Irrelevant, that's my kind of guy. Underdogs always perform under pressure because their whole life is under pressure. Their jobs are on the line. A guy like Brock Purdy, his job's always been on the line because people are always looking to replace him at any moment. So that's why guys like that who go underrated in the draft and out of college, they can always handle the pressure of the NFL because that's nothing new to underrated guys. These first-round picks, when they get to the NFL, okay, and now their performance actually matters, and their job can be taken away from them, they crumble.
They crumble. That's a great point, Mikey. Great addition right there.
Huh? Thank you.
Scott, don't act so surprised about Mikey's great addition. He has sometimes, okay?
They're in there. Don't
there.
cut that part out.
Yeah, we'll cut that out. Don't worry. We're gonna protect you. It's hot in here.
I don't know how to turn off the tracking on my camera.
Well, how about you just stop moving? You just stand in one place.
I'm not moving. Why? Right. Even when I stand.
Look, you're standing still. Don't move your head so much.
I have ADD. I have a disease.
Well, Mike, you are a survivor, and this show supports you in your battle. All right. Another team in the NFC, so that was a good NFC matchup right there. But a not so good NFC matchup was the Eagles and the Cowboys. Eagles come in, absolutely obliterate the Cowboys. Dude, the Cowboys are just sliding. They're slip and sliding more than that slip and slide that we did in the summer of 2008. Remember that?
I remember that.
We got to get a picture of that. And they're just sliding down. This team is just abysmal. And what's very interesting, just kind of adding insult to injury here, is we saw there was a total dropped touchdown, potential touchdown for the Cowboys because of the sun glare in their stadium. And take a look at this. This is how bad the glare is in the end zones for players on the field and fans in this stadium. And we were talking about Jerry Jones's judgment and just kind of the decisions he makes. And he's got his hand in everything with the Cowboys organization. Probably also when it comes down to the design of the stadium and the choice to put these stupid windows here so that his players are blinded in their own end zone. Scott, what are your thoughts on this? And what is going on with the Cowboys?
There's a lot going on with the Cowboys. Where to begin? But I mean, talking about the sun glare, whoever developed this, just like shame on you. This is like 101. How is this going to affect the viewer experience, which seems to be like one of the main focuses of Jerry Jones and all things Jerry World that he's created there down in the Fort Worth area for the Cowboys. So like for them to just have something like this simple element of development to fall through the cracks is wild. And the fact that they haven't fixed it, it's not like this is new. Like, yes, the stadium is relatively new, but we've gone through multiple seasons where this has been a problem. Like, dude, throw some, I don't even know what they call it, that blackout tape or something like that on throw some blackout tape on there or something. Like, it's so necessary at this point. Meme? We're like
That's a good meme.
When you tried to catch that touchdown, dude.
That was just CD trying to catch that touchdown.
It's so foolish. Like, I don't understand how they haven't fixed it yet. It's affecting play, and it's definitely ticking off Cowboys fans because it's affecting play. I'm sure they would look straight into the sun for a Super Bowl win for like a year straight and go blind, but this is too much.
Yeah. This is just add it to the list of things going on with the Dallas Cowboys. I'll say it right now. The Cowboys are not going to turn anything around until they black out those windows. Okay. That's just kind of a symbol of the idiocracy of the Dallas Cowboys organization right now. Fix the windows and everything else will follow. Dallas Cowboys.
That's the epitome of Jerry Jones is appearance and aesthetic over utility. For the whole appearance of the brand of everything. Yeah. They have the nicest facilities, the nicest look. They always crumble.
That's actually very true. I mean, he does. Jerry Jones is like, he just feels like an entertainer. And as long as they have a reasonable football product on the field, like, he seems fine. But right now the product on the field is not reasonable. So we were looking about that. We were talking about this. There's a bunch of, we're kind of in a golden era of touchdown dances, kind of the resurgence of being able to celebrate. And Nick Bosa is going a little bit viral. He got a sack, and then he does the Donald Trump dance celebration right here. Bosa got actually fined this past week $11,000 for wearing a "Make America Great Again" hat, like popping into an interview is a little bit controversial. And then Bosa comes out here and hits the Donald Trump dance after the sack. Scott, what do you think about this?
I mean, talk about the celebration, the touchdown celebration evolution or a sack celebration evolution over the past year, right? So like we started the year where in college football and in the pros, we were super heavy on like guns and aiming and shooting at things and people and so on and so forth. And that's just like that. Talk about sophomoric. Like, I don't understand what's so cool about that. That sort of celebration. This is where like creativity and like keeping your finger on the pulse of things like comes out. Like, this is what I love. We got the pencil or standing on the head sort of deal with Amon-Ra St. Brown and a couple other players out there. But like, I love this, man. It's so simple yet so creative and so timely. Like, perfect move,
dude.
Were guys getting fined for the gun celebrations?
Yeah, I believe so. But it was just like, it was one of those things. It was one of those.
Are they, Scott?
I'm pretty sure they were getting fined in the NFL, but obviously it bled into the college too. And so like, they're obviously not getting fined, but they're getting penalized.
That's one thing that's like kind of been discouraging to me when I see like, obviously everything trickles down from the NFL all the way down to youth football. And you're seeing, I'm seeing some clips on Instagram of youth football players, these kids, and then when they're going to picture day, remember back when we used to do picture day, we had like those 3 poses, the ball under here, you hand on your knee, whatever, Heisman maybe, and they're doing all these like gang signs and gun signs. I'm like, you're 11 years old, you're at football practice with your friends, like why is this kind of the celebration? And it kind of stems down from there. So I love to see this, and just what you said, it's so timely, it's so simple, and here we see the Drake wide receiver doing it as well. But just being creative with these and kind of having fun with it, and something that's not about weapons too. I think that's good. It's kind of a good example for the little kids. And then also Cam Bynum of the Vikings. You remember in the Olympics, Ray Gun, the breakdancer? This dude went in and he hit the Ray Gun. This poor lady quit. She just retired from breakdancing after she got just made so much fun of for her breakdancing effort. Yeah,
bullied out of the business.
Single-handedly destroyed the breakdancing and took it out of the Olympics after 1 year. She went out on top. Let's put it that way.
That's crazy. Like they're actually not going to have breakdance in the Olympics anymore.
Nope.
It just kind of times perfectly with the most viral, worst breakdancing performance we've ever seen. But that's a great touchdown celebration because it's got its pull or finger on the pulse of pop culture. Yeah, which is what we like right there.
Yeah, and good point too about like all of these things trickling down into like even youth football, right? So we covered last week, Mikey talking about Saquon Barkley's wild reverse hurdle, right? And that's gonna make kids want to try that crazy athletic feat, just like the OBJ catch used to do, and brought receivers into like that next realm. So like when we're talking about stuff earlier on with Deebo, acting toward his teammates in the way that he does, like kids are going to see that and ultimately try and emulate it and think that it's okay because the star did it. And just because the teammate wasn't performing, like they can do the same on their teams and such. And it's like, that's one of the things that I wish professional athletes took a little more seriously these days. I think there's so much focus on, my brand, me, what I put out there to the world in terms of like marketing and everything. So I have to make it like really catchy, really sticky, and almost like so flashy. But like, there's also the lost element of, oh shoot, I'm kind of a role model. So like, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't do that. Maybe I shouldn't fight my teammate.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. That's the thing, man. I mean, you think about us growing up, we got these guys posters on our wall, and all of these kids across not just America, but the world now, as football has become so popular, just looking at these guys as role models, and have a little bit more thought. Football is such a kind of pillar of culture, so like the behavior there on the football field is not totally isolated. It echoes throughout society, and especially for young men. Yeah. And so especially when we're seeing like, that's actually, I mean, we're kind of joking about it a little bit, but when I saw those videos of those young kids, those young football players doing all the gang signs and all the gun stuff for their celebrations, I was like, man, this is actually devastating that this is kind of what's looked at as cool. And so hopefully we see kind of more and more of this from the NFL players, setting good examples. I love when they're having fun with the celebrations. And we've seen, like you said, some creative ones, but it's important for these guys to remember that there's a lot of eyeballs on them. Yeah. Well,
I never celebrated.
Yeah,
I was always
you know what, Mike? That annoyed me because you would just you go score a touchdown. I try to give a high five, and you just walk back, just nonchalant. Just you just scored a touchdown.
Here, this is why I expected to do it. I'm not gonna jump into this huge dance like I never expected to score. Wow. I did my job. I did what I was supposed to do. What is this? I subscribe to the Bill Belichick approach. He wouldn't let his team celebrate in the locker room after a win. He celebrated. We did what we were supposed to do.
Yeah,
I love that.
I respect it too. It's the Barry Sanders approach, right?
Barry Sanders, same approach.
You guys are grim. You're depressing. Your outlook on celebrations, I hate it.
Look, Nick, if you need people to look at you, I get it. Okay, I play football for intrinsic motivation.
I played for external validation and Instagram photos. Okay. And that's why you have to have good celebrations. Scott, I identify with like the offensive lineman, like I barely ever got to touch the football. I really never had any of that stardom like that. So if I had anything, I'm celebrating.
Oh yeah.
We got to touch on the New Orleans Saints. So for people who don't know, the Pope Francis of the Vatican has a Twitter account, and he has been tweeting things such as we cannot, here, let me pull this up. We cannot become #Saints with a frown. We must have joyful hearts that remain open to hope. And so this was kind of going around Twitter. Obviously, he's not literally he's not talking about the New Orleans Saints, but hey, that emoji right there is the New Orleans Saints logo. And so people were having a lot of fun with this, saying that Pope Francis is tweeting about the New Orleans Saints. And then the Saints leaned into it, and they took this on their own Twitter account. And this is from the New Orleans Saints official Twitter account. Leaning into Pope Francis tweeting about that. And you know what? Hey, they got the W this weekend. So maybe Pope Francis's tweet about the Saints actually made a difference against the Falcons.
Yeah, the messaging finally hit home, and the fans took it to heart, and ultimately it changed the outcome of this game, most likely. Dude, this is hilarious.
It's so much easier to win when you have God on your side.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there you go. Pope Francis. Nice. So hopefully they can continue to take advantage of the prayers of Pope Francis. What are they? They're 3-7 now. Actually, that's after they fired Dennis Allen, and then they did get this W right here, which this tends to happen after teams fire a coach midseason. They get that little interim coach bump. Like it happened with the Jets. Now here we see it right now. They snapped their 7-game losing streak this past weekend after firing the coach and getting an interim head coach.
Yeah. Coincidence? I think not.
And there we go. All right. We got to talk a little bit about the toilet bowl here in Germany. We had the great pleasure here in Germany of having an NFL game. It was the Carolina Panthers versus the New York Giants, two of the worst teams in the NFL. But people were super excited. All jokes aside, like it actually is really, really cool when NFL games come here to Germany. But this was one of the funniest things. Xavier Leggett, he's trying German food here.
Do you had any food since you arrived?
I had some chicken wings. They had a little different taste to them, like y'all use a different twang of barbecue sauce. But they right here, I like it right here.
The reason we share this is because I feel so bad for the German reporters who are so excited. You grow up, you study English in school, you become proficient in English to the point where you're a journalist that gets to cover the NFL game in Munich, and then you get to interview him, and he has the most difficult accent to understand of all time. Feel bad for these journalists here having to try and decipher that. Did you guys get to watch this game? The Giants and Panthers. Daniel Jones still spiraling.
Yeah. This came out, or I guess the product of this game was exactly what everybody was expecting it to be, or was anticipating it to be. I mean, this is just brutal football. Daniel Jones, I know I've mentioned this before. I feel so badly for the guy, but dude, you gotta pick up the gameplay here. It's getting to a point in which I was talking about presenting facts and numbers in your face. It's getting to a point in which you can no longer ignore the reality. Like you're playing very, very poorly to a point in which, like, even though you're getting paid, you're risking your starting spot, similar to how Deshaun Watson before he tore his Achilles was facing that same point. This meme encapsulates everything.
Isn't that good?
Nick, you have a lot of memes today. This is great.
I went hunting for memes. I'm the meme master. Thank you. Yeah.
Meme master.
Scott.
You're like a court jester or something.
Thank you. I was inspired by your behavior. Did you see LASIK, LASIK eye surgery? They actually tweeted after the Giants game. They said, hey, we do not offer any LASIK surgery appointments in Germany, but at Daniel Jones, feel free to make an appointment when you get back. Maybe it'll help you see your receivers better.
Dude, when you have LASIK trolling you, that's tough look, man. He's probably going to take this offseason and bury himself in some dark hole and rethink some things, because that's brutal, man.
Yeah.
As he should.
As he should. Scott, what do you think? I mean, we like a couple years ago were writing off quarterbacks like Sam Darnold, quarterbacks like Baker Mayfield, and now we've seen them come back and actually have great seasons here and hopefully rest of their careers. Where do you stand with Daniel Jones? Like, where he's getting, I mean, his stock has been plummeting this year after he signed that pretty big contract. Do you think he can fall in that category like a Baker and like a Sam Darnold, or do you think he is destined to be a backup quarterback?
I see his trajectory more like a Mitch Trubisky, where he had a great single year, showed some promise, hopped over to another organization, got a shot, but it all depends on how you perform there. And it really all depends on what organization he ends up going to. Because if you go to, say, another middling organization or something worse, like, that's a problem. But then you look at like Carson Wentz, like he kind of went through the ringer as well, but now he's currently sitting at Kansas City and probably getting some mental reps that are sorely needed behind a great like Mahomes and Andy Reid at the helm. So I don't know. I never want to write anybody off because he does have the skill set to be a quarterback in the NFL. It's just a matter of like having the right people around you, the right organization, the right coaches, the right system, all of that matters. And I keep bringing it up, but everything we saw in the Hard Knocks preseason, man, it doesn't seem to be the case there in New York that he has any of that, even with Deebo.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's we did talk about it. So much of the success, especially of young quarterbacks, comes down to the organization that they're with and their surroundings, their coaching staff, and kind of the help they get. And I mean, New York Giants are not necessarily super well known with this organization right now. I mean, since Eli Manning retired, they've just not really been able to get the quarterback right. And it's just extra tough to be in the New York market when, that's one of the biggest cities in the world. They've got super high expectations. And it's been pretty disappointing too. Both New York teams, the Jets are just as disappointing, possibly even more disappointing, because we actually had a little bit of expectations there with Aaron Rodgers coming and then Devontae Adams, but they have they're not even interesting to talk about anymore. They're just abysmal, and they got destroyed this weekend by Arizona. What do you think? Is Aaron Rodgers done?
I don't know, man. I think mentally he's fuming on the inside, because we all know what kind of competitor he is, right? And nothing's clicking, even though he got all the pieces that he wanted over there. I think ultimately what's coming down, and I said this before the season even started, is it's coming down to the offensive line and the ability for them to protect him and keep that offense flowing and clicking at the rate that it needs to in order to succeed. I don't know. I think the chinks in the armor are starting to show. I don't know if it's necessarily due to his age.
That's a good
I know
point.
the problem.
You'd be fine, Mike.
He needs to do another ayahuasca retreat. Yeah. One more. Okay. Recalibrate mid-season, maybe. And then he'll get back on his MVP track.
Either that or the darkness retreat.
Yeah. One of the two.
Mike, those darkness retreats are actually in Oregon. We should do one.
That sounds about right.
Wow.
Yeah.
We should do that. I'll go crazy.
Hey, watch it, Scott. You live there. That's one of your homes.
Great business model. What kind of company is that? You give me $1,000, I lock you in this room, I turn the lights off. Why don't I just do that at home? I'll just turn the lights off.
That's
It's
what
a
did
good
I hear.
business idea.
What did I hear? It's probably a joke from one of the comedians out there, but like escape rooms are the widest thing you've ever heard, right? Locking yourself in a room and having to solve a puzzle to escape it. It's just like that stuff happens in real life with real serial killers and everything. And the fact that we're doing it for fun is messed up.
Society is so advanced, we have to do anything to wake up our nervous system.
Exactly. That is just the sign of a very, very advanced and developed society. All right. Good luck to the Giants and the Jets and all of those miserable fans in New York. Glad I'm not one of them. Dude, did you see? This is kind of sad. It's a little bit bittersweet. Moving on to college football. Kirk Herbstreit's dog, Ben Herbstreit, passed away. And, it kind of sounds silly. We're talking about a dog here, but Kirk Herbstreit took Ben all over the country with him. It was always on broadcast. So you see him here on College Game Day. Like, it kind of became a fan favorite and a symbol of college football in America.
Oh, yeah.
And so he had to be put down this week. And it was, Herbstreit was pretty emotional on the College Game Day set, and kind of understandably so. What are your thoughts on this? How you feel about it?
Yeah, man, good boy is gone. R.I.P. to this guy. Definitely caught the country by storm, or captured their hearts for sure. Because I don't know if you've ever been a pet owner, and like obviously, like not everybody is, and some people are not dog lovers or anything like that. But I don't know. There's a companionship that was obviously built up here between him and Ben, and he just again captured the hearts of so many people. Across the country. And I don't know, it's sad to see, but also all of the outpouring and like love and support, I guess, that Kirk was receiving from everybody online was just like, hey, okay, we still have a heart out there in the world and in society. Like, yeah. So it was good to see that sort of outpour and support for him. But yeah, it's a sad day, but hopefully he'll get through it.
Hey, Scott, hey, you tell him, hey, get over it, man.
Hey, Kirk, enough. Really milking this thing, okay?
That was the wrong way to end it, I'll admit.
Right. Okay. No, that's okay. No, we know what you mean. This is the thing. The Alfieris, we are notoriously cat people, the Alfieris. We are a cat family, but we do respect the occasional dog. And Ben Herbstreit is one of them. It is cool to see like a story where everybody's on the same side. I think everybody's on the same side on this, of like showing some sympathy and support. I don't think anyone's like, man, screw that dog. I don't want to see any of that. There's probably a couple. It's nice. It's nice to, it's good for our country to unite over something.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, being a former dog, like we had to put our dog down, our family dog, Truman, English bulldog of like 12 years. We had to put him down this past year as well. So like I definitely feel the pain of losing a companion, somebody who does become part of your family. Like obviously it's a pet. That it doesn't have the same level of like connection that you have with, say, your child or anything like that. But at the same time, it was his travel companion, because he's on the road. Kirk is 24/7 during the football season. So it was his element of bringing home with him, family with him, because he couldn't bring his kids all the time. That's just not feasible. So I don't know, it does pull on my heartstrings a little bit that this happened, and I feel for him. But ultimately, he left a good impression. The dog left a great impression on America and the people. So hopefully he can take that away.
Disney just bought the rights to him. Marley and Me too.
Disney's quick to exploit a good dog story. Yeah. I'll go watch that. But all right,
I would go see that movie.
All right. Well, that's kind of a bittersweet story. College football. Week 10 or week 11 of college football. We've got just 3 undefeated teams left here in the top 25. We got BYU. We've got Indiana, Scott, your favorite state. And then we've got our least favorite, the Oregon Ducks, sitting at 10-0. Interesting. I was reading about Colorado is actually totally in control of if they will reach the Big 12 championship game. And if they win that game, then they are guaranteed heading to the college football playoff. How incredible would that be if Deion Sanders is able to actually pull that off and make that turnaround? And if they're able to get their foot into the college football playoff after just what is it, 2 years with Deion Sanders, that would be incredible. Check this out. Did you see this? The Texas Tech ball boy, he tried to take the touchdown ball from Shiloh, and then he kind of stepped up to Shedeur Sanders here. Like the Sanderses, they are. What do we call them? Kind of confrontational. I mean, they're always finding their way into stories like this. How do you feel about them?
Look, they're great players. They have an air of confidence that their dad had, definitely. The thing is like their dad was on another level. like out of this world athletic, and it came out and showed. So like the confidence and the ability were on par with one another, to where you could swallow it, right? It's like, okay, that's Dion, that's who he is. I don't know. It's a little frustrating, and this is just old man on the porch me, like seeing a younger guy have this sort of I don't know, arrogance or bravado before he makes it to the league and makes it to like the true big leagues, and performs there. So just him getting in the face of the ball boy, this is kind of just like, dude, just let it go. You don't need to always stand on business all the time. Like, it's just, you can, like, it happened, just let it go, celebrate with your team. You don't need to get in the face of a kid who's just doing his job.
I mean, it seems like these kind of things are a commonplace with the Sanders, and obviously Dion, one of the best of all time, and whatever people are he's kind of a polarizing figure, but he's earned the right to be, because he's one of the greatest of all time, and playing two sports. And obviously, like, Shedeur is fantastic. He's one of the best quarterbacks in college football right now. But we've seen, look at, for example, Caleb Williams, who was one of the best quarterbacks in college football last year, and then he comes in the NFL, and he did have a little bit of a great start. And we didn't really talk about the Bears so much today, but that's unwinding, and he's having a hell of a hard time and really not living up to expectations, and kind of becoming maybe the worst of the rookie quarterbacks this year. And so I would wonder, hey, you're not guaranteed, if you're having success here at this level in college, to then go to the NFL, which he expects to do, and have the same kind of success. Just this kind of attitude can make you look silly. And so that's kind of my reservation on it.
Yeah. And you've even said, I think you brought it up, where this won't look great, or at least from NFL organizations. Like, obviously they're going to take you based off of merit, right? If you perform on the field, like, that's going to be the major factor in deciding whether or not to draft you, right? But this does take this is at play as well, like character, how you approach certain situations, what that means. And I think it's hilarious that you bring up the Caleb Williams, because, like, remember, he was all about the confidence and everything, which you need at that level. You absolutely need it, whether it's external or internal, mostly the latter. But it's hilarious, because he went up to the punter at the beginning, and this went viral, where he was like, you're not going to be punting all that much this year, or something along those lines. And all of a sudden they've had 45 punts this year, which is an insane amount. So it's like the wheels are falling off.
What I meant to say was,
yes, you're going to punt a lot.
It's one of those frustrating things, but I get it. Like, if you're in that environment, like, you need to be confident. You need to put that forth. It's just the way that they bring it about is a little frustrating from a fan's perspective, or at least from my perspective.
Yeah. No, I'm with you 100% on there. I'm so curious to see how he translates to the NFL. I mean, like, all the all these experts who are trying to project quarterbacks, I mean, they're wrong 50% of the time on who's going to be a hit in the NFL. And it's like, I think a lot of people are kind of surprised that Jaden Daniels is way outperforming Caleb Williams this year already. So I think it's so hard to tell. So have a little bit of humility. How about, huh?
Yeah. That's all we're asking for. It's not much. It doesn't mean you have to.
That's all we're asking. A little bit of humility.
It's not like you have to decrease your internal confidence. Just
yeah.
This is like Colorado is like white collar culture versus Detroit's blue collar. It's like completely different ends of the spectrum.
Wow, there you go. They're very not blue collar.
Pretty good.
Look at you, another one. You got hit after hit today, Mike. All right,
gems. I'm full of gems.
You're full of gems. You're uncut gems. You're Adam Sandler and uncut gems. All right, so there we have it on college football. A couple more weeks of college football, or just last night in college football. Oregon State just lost again. I know nobody really wants to talk about Oregon State football, but we do, because our brother plays for them, and they lost to San Jose State after getting destroyed by Cal 2 weeks ago, and so they're kind of on a little bit of a slide. Do you think? Tell me what you think of this, Scott? You know how there is in NCAA basketball, there's kind of the power conferences, and there's the mid majors. I think now with the football conference realignment. We're getting sort of like mid majors with Division I programs. And it feels like Oregon State is kind of falling to that sort of mid major level.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting Wild West situation here to see. Like, I don't know how it's ultimately going to shake out, but my estimation is that college football is going to turn into just an East and West sort of major conferences, and similar to the NFL, how they're going to be like divisions of East and West, essentially. Just because I think these cross-country trips, the statistics are coming out, the number of teams, especially in the Big Ten, that are hopping from coast to coast to play these games, like it's just the win-loss record is playing out. It's clearly having an effect on the players. I can't imagine what what effect it's having on scholastics and academics and all that kind of stuff. So I think ultimately there's going to be a change here in the next, call it 5 to 10 years, in that route, the East-West with divisions.
Yeah. I think that's a great prediction. I've already heard rumblings of like Cal and Stanford, who are now in the ACC, the Atlantic Coast Conference, wanting to get out of that, because I mean those are schools that really value academics. Cal Berkeley and Stanford, and like that's going to just have a harsh effect on the student athletes being able to do the student part. So we'll see. Yeah. We're in an interesting time with college football. All right, Scott, second wind. It's time.
Wait.
What?
Wait. Back to Oregon State. Andy Alfieri is the only other player besides Travis Hunter that's going both ways.
Good point.
Yeah, true. There we go. Keep it in the family.
Pretty good. Good little shout out.
Andy's actually he had a big TFL a couple weeks ago, and then he was doing like 10, 15 snaps on offense and then like 20 on defense. Like he's him and Travis Hunter.
Yeah.
Both up for the Heisman Trophy.
Andy, look at Andy. That's awesome though, because I remember seeing the TFL coming out on socials and everything like that. And the best part was he was just like, I didn't know what to do with like my hands after he did it.
It's the Ricky Bobby response.
Ricky Bobby.
The car drove real good.
Oh my gosh.
We're working on Andy. We're getting him media trained. No, Andy's media trained. He's good in his interviews.
He'll need to pop on this every once in a while just to sharpen that sword.
Oh yeah, we'll get him on there. He did a lot of media 2 weeks ago, and some of his interviews were very good and kind of loose, and then some he was a little stiff. He was a little stiff on some of those. We'll get him all polished up there.
Yeah, the one thing I remember is he's the fastest talker I've ever met. So we'll just need to slow him down, put him at 0.75 speed, and then that'll help.
Good. We'll have to digitally alter his voice. We'll translate. We can translate. We know how. All right, Andy, we'll get you on here soon. Okay, Scott, it's time. Second win time. I want to hear what you have to talk about this week, Monday show. What do you got?
All right, for my second win, obviously it's a shout out. It's Veterans Day. You guys put your name on that dotted line and you went out there and served and sacrificed for our country in whatever capacity it was, for whatever branch it was. First and foremost, thank you. I can't be more grateful for the things that you have given up and the things that you have sacrificed again to serve our great nation and to help me, my family, and my extended family of the past live in such a great country and continue to do so. So thank you. Anecdotally, I had two grandparents, both paternal and maternal, serve our great nation as well. So this means something very deeply. So one of my maternal grandfathers served in Guadalcanal during World War II, and my paternal served after World War II. It's something that's very near and dear to my heart. And again, I couldn't be more thankful and grateful for what you have done to help our great nation maintain that greatness and continue to be the shining city on a hill for all the world. And so thank you. Anecdotally, again, another one is I got to give a shout out to my paternal grandfather who has since passed. Sports-wise, he actually was part of the Santa Clara Broncos football program back in the 1950s. And he ended up winning the only Orange Bowl that university had ever experienced, going up against Bear Bryant back in the day and taking down Alabama. So there's a little bit of a connection here with sports, but overall, I want to say shout out to the veterans on Veterans Day. And again, thank you for all you have done for our great nation.
That's how you end it. Actually, you guys got some good military background and experience in your family. Nobody in our family was in the military. We're totally
Too selfish of a family.
we're too selfish of a family. We got no.
Somebody else fight that war.
We got
I forgot to mention my brother as well served in the Army, so I have to give him a shout out. My older brother. So yeah,
Sean.
that's. But
hey,
ultimately,
you
Sean,
guys are putting
Sean
up
did.
numbers.
Yeah.
Hey, we got to get Sean on the show. Yeah, we can talk about all these on the Yale football days. All right, there you go. Your second win is better.
I
and
told
more
him.
Did you? Is he going to do it?
Oh yeah. Yeah. He's open to it. He's open to it. He's just like, I don't know what the heck I'm going to talk about.
We're going to ask him hard.
We'll tee
We'll
up.
do a gotcha piece.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, we do gotcha.
You were once quoted as saying.
Got a lot of dirt on that. All right,
good.
There we go. All right, I think that's our show today. Mike, before you leave my room, Mike, can you clean it or something? Make sure you get all your garbage out of my room. Don't leave anything on the bed, and don't. Just
there's going to be you need to hire a professional. It's past the point of no return. So I'll call somebody, but
you can just tell Ma. I'm sure Ma can fix it.
Hey Ma, I never know what she's doing back there. Mom, the meatloaf. All right, cut the episode.
All right, that's good.
Running out of things to say.
All right. Okay, good stuff. Scott, Mike, see you guys on Wednesday.
Yeah. Wednesday.
Right.
This is episode 1. Stay tuned for a good run here.
There we go. See you next time.